This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello and welcome to another Sky Blues Extra Live. What a draw! What a result! What a result, Ross.
I've never been. I don't think I've been buzzing for a point in probably a number of seasons. I felt quality. Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, buzzing.
Thoroughly deserved. And to be honest, I think if we'd have walked away from that game with nothing, I think we'd have felt really hard done by. Lots of talking points, of course, and I'm sure we're going to pick up with those in a little while. But let's go straight to some comments first, because while we can, first of all, we've got a comment from Luke Lewis. Great point. We look much more comfortable at this level in the last few weeks. Very winnable games between now and Christmas. Fingers crossed we'll still be in that mid-table pack by the new year. What do you think about that, Ross?
No, I'd definitely take being in the mid-table pack by the new year. But no, I agree. I remember looking at, after this Norwich game, you look at the fixtures and you think, I don't think we've got a real tough game until like February now. I think every game is winnable.
Yeah.
So to have had this week and to have got 4 points from the last two games, that's beyond what I could have hoped, really. I think we have adapted, haven't we? The last few weeks, we've looked a lot better. We've sort of cut out the silly mistakes, and we've managed the games much better. Our game management, if you compare it to Watford, we went 2-1 up and we capitulated. Nottingham Forest, we were 1-1 and capitulated right at the end. Whereas in the last few weeks, we've just looked sort of more. We've almost managed the time of the game. We haven't rushed in. We didn't go gung ho from the first minute today. We sort of just stayed in the game, didn't we? And it paid dividends in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Just bring in a few of these. This result will really help us with confidence going into some now crucial games. I agree. I think it could have been one of those where you walk away from a fixture like that, having probably deserved something and probably should have, you'd walk away from that and it could really take a knock in a vital part of the season. But we didn't, and we've clawed a point from in the depths, really, which is more like us to give away late goals, isn't it? And there was nothing that Norwich could do about that. But there wasn't a lot coming from them, was there?
No, not at all. I felt like, actually, apart from that 10-minute spell they had in the first half where Wilson, they hadn't been in the game, and then suddenly for 10 minutes we just lost
Switched
the plot
off
for
a little
second.
bit. Yeah,
they had a few saves to make. They got the penalty, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But apart from that, they did nothing, at all. And I felt like, I was really impressed with us, actually. And and I know Norwich have got injuries, and that's why I guess everyone felt like if you had lost 1-0, you'd come away going, that was an opportunity there missed, not only because of who they were missing, but also how well we played.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got what we deserved, didn't we? And it was cracking.
So let's take it to the comments then. Sky Blues Extra followers, please do make sure that you pop some comments in there and tell us exactly, in one word, the answer to this question, which is: Keith Stroud give a penalty against the Sky Blues. Was it a penalty against Wilson? Do you think it was a penalty, or do you think it was not a penalty? Ross, what did you think about that?
No, I don't think it was ever a penalty. I was chatting to one of my friends is a referee, and so whenever we're talking, watching the games together, he's got his sort of rose tinted sky blue spectacles on, but at the same time he's got the referee sort of knowledge, and he tries to see it from a referee's point of view, and he said it's never a penalty, never.
Yeah, and we've just got a lot of people now on here. Michael says never. Mark Cunningham, no. A bit more than that, Nige. Dubious. More than dubious, I would say. I'm struggling to keep up with the comments here. No, he played the ball. We've got another one here. Absolutely not. Another one here from Adam. Never. It just in...
It's pretty unanimous.
Long time of watching football with penalties when they can go either way. That for me was just never ever a penalty. I don't see how he's given it. I really don't.
No, I don't.
But I'm not surprised because he had a poor game again, and I think substantial, hasn't it? Substantial amount of errors from officiating this season in the Championship, where you expect the level to be good. These guys are skirting around Premiership games. They will get Burnley versus, I I don't know, lower Premier League teams, right? They will get those fixtures. I would never ever, imagine Keith Stroud stepping up to referee or officiate, even in a fourth official capacity, in a Tottenham versus Man City game. It just, you would never see that get handed into him from a display out there. And I hope Mark Robbins and I hope the Norwich Daniel Farke manager, when they do their end of match comments, which we now, the referees have to have and the managers have to do, I really hope they really, really rate Keith Stroud exactly what it was today, which was a solid 4 or 5.
Well, they should have had a man sent off. I mean, it wasn't just the penalty. That's Sorensen. I mean, he did 2 identical tackles, identical on Dabo. They're both yellow cards every day of the week.
Yeah.
If we did that, we would have got booked. And the prime example is Jamie Allen. I think could have got a penalty if he'd gone down. If they had done that, he'd have given a penalty to Norwich.
Yeah. And I think, very lucky Max Aarons to get away with a booking. His studs were perhaps not showing, but it was just, that he went flying in there, totally got none of the ball, all of the man. And, luckily, Ryan Giles wasn't on the end of a bad injury from that. It seems that he, played out and hopefully is none the worse aware. And we obviously hope Max Aarons is okay, because he seemed to get injured in the follow through, but it was just a reckless tackle, wasn't it? But again, we saw those fouls on halfway. We saw that game management that we've all spoken before, and you mentioned it a lot on the podcast, that these seem to spread the fouls around, don't they, and disrupt play.
Well, I'm looking and they've got 2 yellow cards in the game today, and I find that's staggering. I feel like they could have definitely had a red card, and I just felt we're always on the receiving end of these sort of tackles, and the moment we do like one foul, which is half as bad, you see the cards just come out left, right, and centre. And I agree though. I think obviously we were much better today. I felt like I feel like I see us sort of moaning at the ref a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone does do a bad tackle, we're there. We're not sort of just pushovers. Do you know what I mean? Which I feel like earlier in the season we sort of just let things like that just get on top of us, rather than actually sort of fighting back a little bit. But we fought back in the best way. We played our football. We didn't let all their fouls disrupt us, and we fully deserve to get a result today.
Let's have a little look at some of the more comments that are coming in for on Sky Blues Extra Live here. This sets us up perfectly to put a run together over December. Confidence playing well, stopped conceding, lesser teams coming up. It sums it up really well there, doesn't he, Nigel? And I think that's it. There's a lot to look forward to now, isn't there?
A lot to look forward to. I think, 5 points from the last 3 games, 2 clean sheets in that time, and to come back and get a point from 1-0 down against Norwich is no mean feat at all. And I think, as he said in the comment, you look at December's fixtures, the games are coming thick and fast. We've got a ridiculous amount of games, and I think we go from Tuesday onwards, and every game you think, what, we can get a win here. I think we've got a really exciting December ahead of us.
Yeah, exactly. And also, Ross, what I want to know is we're going to go and look for it in a minute. We've got some guests actually waiting, and we'll bring those in just a second. But the squad lineup today, obviously very, very different. A lot of players rested, it seems, with perhaps Mark Robbins having one eye on, the fixture in midweek. What did you make of that?
Initially, it sort of, it was a bit of a head scratcher, because you think 5 changes, goodness me. But actually, if you think about it, we knew that 2 of them were going to be enforced. We knew that McCallum was going to be out of the team. And we also knew that the goalkeeper situation was going to have to change. So actually, he sort of just made 3 changes. I think everyone knew we were probably going to have to go back to a back 5 because of the lack of sort of full-back options. The biggest one was Bakayoko starting. That was probably the biggest surprise to me. O'Hare, I sort of see as a starter anyway.
Sure. And
then Allen obviously has started a fair few games, not in recent weeks. So it was Bakayoko. It was a big opportunity for him today. But I feel like Robbins, and we spoke about this, didn't we, on the podcast, like if we can get a result against Cardiff, which we did, then today was a bit of a free hit. Go out. If we get a result, own yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like Robbins was looking at Derby. Tuesday against Derby is a massive game.
Huge, yeah.
And we now go into that even more full of confidence. But had we lost today, yes, we'd have been disappointed. But that win against Cardiff sort of backed us up. Whereas we'd have had a lot more pressure today. Had we drawn 0-0 against Cardiff today, there would have been a lot more riding on it, I think.
Yeah. So let's bring in our first guest, and it's Glenn, who obviously usually joins us on Sky Blues Extra. Glenn, thanks ever so much for joining us again. I suppose it's just what we just want to know, really, from you first of all. Who is your man of the match today?
I'll probably give it Wilson. I think he did really well today. He made some cracking saves that kept us in the game, really.
Yeah.
When they had that 10-minute spell where they battered us, as they're always going to do with the quality they've got, even with however many players they had out. I thought, yeah, Wilson did really well. Bar a few shaky minutes at the start where he decided to take a bit extra time on pass backs, etc., and looked a bit out of position. But yeah, I think he did well. So I'll probably give it him.
And just for you, was it a penalty, Glenn, or not?
I can see why you give it, because I think he definitely got the ball first, but then he got the man. I think it's one of them, if you're looking at VAR, where they just disallowing penalties in the Premiership because the players have got minute touches on the ball and then caught the man. You can't be giving penalties. Excuse me, for decisions like that when he's clearly got the ball first.
That's all right, Glenn. We'll excuse you. I'm sure you've been shouting at the TV for 90 minutes.
I did shout a bit when Max.
Glenn, what did you make of the team today when you saw the starting 11? What did you make of that?
I was surprised, but thinking about it, just listening to what you guys said, if you're going to give Alan Bakayoko a start and give him some game time with the assumption you're going to probably maybe have to use them at some point in December, probably today's game, with it being quote unquote a free hit, was probably quite a smart move to give him game time on it and give Walker a bit of a rest. He's still feeling his way back, and obviously pull Shipley out the picture, because obviously he was pretty much running on empty on Wednesday night.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It probably was a smart move. Obviously, if Max doesn't score late on, you're going to ask questions about the team. But Max scores late on, it's a good point. It's a bonus point. And it's probably a point that will help us in the future, because there'll probably be a game in, maybe, hopefully not in December, but there'll probably be a game later in the season where we have lots of players out, and we probably is a game we'd expect to get something from, and we might not. So it's a bonus point in that book.
And Glenn, obviously now with Mark Rollins, we've already mentioned he's got one eye on Tuesday. He's got a bit of a dilemma, hasn't he, now? Because you've got, of course, Giles, who had a fantastic game, I think, again. Obviously, there's some work to be done perhaps on the final ball, and I think there's probably a lot of Sky Blues fans that will say that. But you've got to get in those positions to be able to play that ball. So that's a difficult one, because Sam perhaps will be jostling now for a position. And of course, with Tyler Walker, you would have expected he would have started today. I'm not sure if Bakayoko perhaps done enough for you today to keep that lone striker role, if indeed he does. And of course, Max has put his sort of hat in the ring as well. So just with one eye on the fixture this week, Glenn, who would be your sort of 11? Just rattling that off very quickly.
I'd probably stick with the wing backs. McCallum comes in for Giles, and Giles plays with O'Hare behind Walker. And then I would probably go Kelly and Hamer as your midfield too. Harsh on Sheaf, but I think that's the two that I'd go for. I think you're going to need Hamer's combative nature against Derby, and all the pressure's on Derby.
Yeah, of course it is. They really are up against it, aren't they?
Yeah, they shouldn't be there. But no, the only one thing I'd just like to say is just that the last couple of days there's been so much negativity about Wilson coming in, and there were people saying that we should throw Camp in, who hasn't played a game for X amount of months. So just Rossi would have done better with that penalty. No, it wasn't. I just think we've got to back our own and not get on their cases. We seem to be doing that too much, especially aside for you guys, because obviously you sponsor Wilson. But I just think you give the guy a chance. He's earned his chance. You can't throw in somebody totally who's not played for 6 months ahead of him. Although he's probably a more experienced keeper. He's there to cover us if anything happens to Wilson on it. But yeah, I just think
exactly.
That's the one negative. I just think we get on our own team too much a bit.
Yeah, Glenn. Well, thanks ever so much again for coming on. We really, really appreciate that, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again after obviously another successful Coventry fixture. Cheers, Glenn.
After we
Cheers,
put
Glenn.
Rooney in the place on Tuesday night, hopefully.
Exactly.
See you later.
Thanks.
Well, that was Glenn Ross. He obviously contacts us a lot on Sky Blues Extra, and it's great, isn't it, that, like Glenn said, that now there's a lot of positions a bit more jostling for, and also, lovely to see Max, like you mentioned, get a goal, and a lot of support for Wilson that we're starting to see, in here.
No, I completely agree with what Glenn said. I think as number 2, he deserves an opportunity, to have that number 1 shirt while Morosi's out. Camp's obviously come in, and I think it's Wilson's shirt to lose. I think if you just sort of say to Wilson, no, you're always going to be second choice no matter what, then what's the point of him being there? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he deserves the opportunity to have the shirt, and I think he did himself absolutely no harm today. He made some crucial saves, was very unfortunate with the penalty, and I actually felt his kicking, his distribution was good. I thought he had a good game, and you got to bear in mind, when was the last time, obviously, apart from the last 2 minutes against Cardiff, when was the last time he played in a competitive game? It was probably a cup game, a League Cup game or something last season. Or a Johnston, a checker trade or something. So I think, you've got to bear that in mind. But as you say, and the question I wanted to ask you, David, was in regards to the selection, we had 2 clean sheets and 4 points with the back 4. Today, we obviously had to go back to the back 5. What would you do moving on to Derby on Tuesday?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to be proactive. They're a team that are obviously having a few issues at the moment, and you want to try and exploit that. I'd like to see us try and go 2 up top, but the worry with that is then we obviously lose that man in midfield, don't we? I think you'd have to play the wing backs. It's the only sort of system that seems to work, I think, for me. And also the players in those positions have been probably the best players this season, bar a couple like Amer, perhaps Godden when he was fit, and the strikers, and of course Morosi. But you'd have to say that other than that, those wing backs, especially McCallum and Giles, have been really good value for the Sky Blues this season.
Oh, absolutely! I tell you, who was incredible today. My man of the match was Dabo. I thought it was absolutely ridiculously good. Like that. I mean, it's mad to think that against Birmingham, that was the worst I think I'd seen him in a Coventry shirt by some way, and it was fully understandable because he's not been playing. He's had to get his fitness up. But to go from that, on that Friday to today, and he was like skinning Norwich's 2 players all by himself. I thought he was incredible today. Actually, absolutely incredible.
He really did. I mean, actually, and one thing I'd say is Sam McCallum walks straight into that Norwich team, doesn't he? I mean, you got to look at that and think Dabo had the beating of of their left back all game, really. And we know that Dabo's not fully wound up yet, is he? He's still got a little bit of time to go, and he started to show those glimpses of magic that we saw, of course, every week in League One. So it's great to have Dabo back into some sort of form, and I think that the more game time he gets, the more he's going to improve.
Well, exactly. He's only going to get better, like you're saying. That's the sort of exciting thing for us. So I still look at him and go, yeah, I think he's got more to come. Obviously, with Norwich's injuries, they don't have a fit left back, and it just begs the question. I assume Norwich have got a recall option in January.
Yeah,
and it makes you wonder what
I'm not sure they have, actually.
I'm
not sure. I think I'm pretty positive that it's actually a season long. Yeah. So I think actually, they're probably kicking themselves now because the start that McCallum's made in Championship football has been nothing short of electric. And a goal to add to that as well.
Oh, exactly. Well, I was saying to a few people, obviously, he was really impressive last year, but I feel like you almost just get a newfound appreciation of how good he actually is in this division.
Yeah,
I feel like people can get hyped up in League One, and you sort of almost too much sometimes. But I think it was against even Watford, I think, and not Nottingham Forest, and I just thought, wow, he was playing out of position, and he was just so composed on the ball, and I thought, you know what, actually, he is really, really, really good, and you can sort of see why Norwich bought him. But you got to think that, he has showed his quality to be a quality championship left back.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bring a few more comments in. Ross, Elaine Ward there with well-deserved point. I think she's absolutely spot on. I think we'd have been upset if we'd have got anything less from that, even though it was obviously increasingly looking that way, and looking like another frustrating afternoon. But the Sky Blues managed to get the draw. They managed to get that late goal, a brilliant reactive goal by Max Biamu, wasn't it? I mean, he was just electric to get to that ball, tuck it away, no panicking at that time, and he showed that that's why he's a striker and he's in there.
Yeah, he's who I wanted the ball to fall to, because especially after the missed chances he's missed in previous games, where you can sort of feel like, I mean, today that should have been his 5th goal of the season. If we're being brutally honest, he should have had 2 against Forest, Watford, Reading, and you think. So I was buzzing when it fell to him. I mean, you sort of just wondered. It went through my mind when Fads hit the post. Was that the chance?
Yes, I felt the same.
But I looked at the clock and I thought maybe there is time for one more. And I mean, I think the referee. I don't know if he was going to give a penalty, because there was definitely a foul. So what was it? Walker who got wiped out.
Yeah.
Something happened, and then Max got up and he just smashed that in. There was no saving that. And I'm buzzing for Max. This is the guy who was written off by fans, not written off by Robins, but it didn't seem in his plans at all.
Yeah,
and he's come in and he was starting all those games and he's come on and scored. I love Max. I'm buzzing for him.
Yeah, Max Biamu started his career about 1,000 meters from where I'm sitting right now, here in London, and started in non-league football. Has scored in non-league football. Has scored in League Two. Has scored in League One. Has now scored in the Championship. He scored in League Cup games. He scored in FA Cup games. He's been a real servant to the Sky Blues, hasn't he?
And he loves the not just the club, that he loves the city. He lives in the city centre.
Yeah,
he loves the fans, and for me that's like priceless.
Yeah.
And his dedication and commitment. Like, I always believe he will score when he's on the pitch. I think I want a chance to fall to him. And time and time again, maybe it was because of his age. I mean, if he was 5 years younger, I think people would be looking, going, "Wow, we've got a really good player on our hands."
Yeah.
But it's amazing his rise, because remember, he didn't score a goal, did he, in League Two until the MK Dons FA Cup game? And people were going, oh, I mean, who would have thought then that he'd be scoring away at Carrow Road in the Championship just a couple of years later?
Yeah, no, amazing. It's a really amazing story for any young footballers, I think, out there as well, but also a great one for Max. And I don't really think he's put that many. He hasn't really put a foot wrong from what he's done. He works hard when he gets given his chance. He's lively up there. He jostles. He wins headers. Of course, we know that he set up that goal for Tyler Walker, which there's still a hell of a lot to do. But he linked up well with Walker that day. He looks obviously better in a 2 up front than perhaps a lone striker, but again, and again he's come on and he's given the Sky Blues an equaliser.
Well, I'd say what was interesting about the selection was, because initially I thought, he could have started Biamu up front, but I actually think the game plan was clearly to get to 60 minutes in the game, goalless probably ideally, and then bring on the cavalry, Tyler Walker. And
I think those subs looked completely pre-planned, didn't they? Because of the nature of how they happened. So Mark Robins obviously clearly had one eye on Tuesday and thought, right, 30 minutes for the boys that are likely going to start on Tuesday.
Yeah, but it says a lot about, I guess, because there's always been the Max and Backer sort of debate, and it says a lot that I think he sees Max as the impact guy. He's the guy who he can trust to actually come on, and he was part of that. He came on with Jabello, didn't he? A couple of minutes later after the first triple sub, and obviously Bakayoko got the start. But I think Robins trusts Max. He knows what he's going to get from him, and he very rarely lets the team down.
Exactly. Now we have got another guest, but I'm not sure you can call him a guest actually, waiting to come on. But yeah. Let's bring Dean in.
And here's to you, Maxim Biamu. The city loves you more than you will know.
How you feeling, Dean?
I mean, I'll take a point, of course, but I just feel like we've let them get away with one.
Have we let them get away with one, or has Keith Stroud let them get away with one?
Listen, Keith Stroud should never referee a match at that level ever again. He's been awful all season. Every game I've seen him refereeing, he's made awful decisions. Now, the penalty is never a penalty.
No.
The ball goes the opposite direction. It only goes one way if Wilson gets the ball.
If you're in a 50-50 position and you're going to go for the ball and someone beats you to that ball and you get brought down, that is what happens. That is football.
It happens,
and
it happens
he's
everywhere
got
else
a
on the
hand to
pitch,
the ball,
doesn't it?
you know. He's clearly got that, and I just think
Well,
for some of the
seen,
free kicks that weren't given, Ross.
well, you've seen ones in the Premier League where they're looking to see if they've even just scraped the ball. Now the goalkeeper in that situation, and if he gets a slight touch of the ball, then it's not a penalty. Wilson got more than a slight touch. He got the ball.
Yeah.
And so it's mad. It's mad that, I mean, how can he not make contact with the player? That's
awful.
what I find. He's running out.
Exactly. And he's sliding. He's a goalkeeper.
How's he supposed
to do it?
Like, if the ball, how's he supposed to get the ball and then retract his arms before he, makes contact with the player? I find it was a bonkers decision.
He refereed against Swansea, didn't he, early in the season, and he made some questionable decisions that night too. And if I go back a few years ago, I think he was the ref, if my memory serves right, in the loss to Cambridge in the FA Cup, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just questionable that day too. So, he should never referee. He won't even get in the VAR. He won't even get in the VAR room, if I'm honest. Awful. Awful.
No. And who was your man of the match, Dean?
I mean, Wilson kept us in it that first half for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the string of saves he made, that double save was world class.
Which made it even more gutting, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely did, because he did so well before, obviously, up to the penalty. But then after that, he didn't have a lot more to do. A couple of crosses he came for, commanded his area well, so he did well there. So he had a good game. I thought O'Hare looked lively. Dabo looked back to his best.
Yeah.
Ryan Giles as well was superb.
Had acres of space, didn't he? It's just that final ball, isn't it? If he can just get that right. Don't get me wrong, he gets it right on a lot of occasions, but if he could just be more consistent with that, I think that he could be, bagging plenty of assists this season.
And it was a great cross for the goal. I know obviously we didn't score from the cross, but I mean, let's talk about that challenge as well, by the way. That's horrific. He's not even looking at the ball before. I mean, no wonder he got injured, and that's what happens if you don't challenge properly. Then you're going to get injured. So that's 2 games now in a row where we look at Morosi with Morrison on Wednesday night. He wasn't even looking at the ball, Morrison, to begin with. He knew where Morosi was, and not a lot's been made of that. To be honest, I thought it was an absolute disgusting challenge.
Yeah,
we mentioned it. Sorry, Ross, go on. No,
it's funny. My friend who's a Cardiff fan, he thought Morosi punched himself, which was the most bonkers thing I've ever heard.
It was odd.
I was like, he's like, you could see the shiner on him, instantly.
Yeah, you could. It came up straight away, didn't it?
I remember I was laughing, thinking, come on, man. I was like, it was a terrible challenge. And I think it just went under the radar. Morrison sort of rubbed his head a bit as if like, it was sort of and then, runs away. And you just
it's
thinking,
that time in the game where it's, for me, is quite weak officiating as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a scary time to be doing anything like a sending off or a penalty, and it was all flurry, and he just rather, just put his hands up and let play continue and go on, rather than have to, not caution anyone or even worse.
But Morrison's got form for that as well in the past. He's not a nice individual, really. I don't think he's well liked in the footballing world, from what I've been told. So, he should have been reprimanded for that, definitely.
Tuesday night. Yeah, carry on, Ross.
Sorry, no. You said about O'Hare, and I thought he was really good. Do you think he suits being more in that central role, say by himself, behind the two, rather? In the first half he was part of that sort of higher up box with Allen. I mean, I think he looked really dangerous when he can just pick the ball up in a sort of that free role.
Yeah, he's obviously, we play one up top. He's got to sort of stick in that sort of that area on the left hand side, because that's the out ball. But if you have 2 up there, it gives him the option then to be free and to link up the play. But you're absolutely right. He does look better in that role. I think we look better this season in the Championship with 2 up top rather than 1 up top. It will just give us a little bit more lease of life at the top end of the pitch, and that gives O'Hare then the opportunity to run the show in the middle of the park, which is what he does best. I mean, some of his turns today, his first touch is outrageous at times. He takes 2 or 3 players out of the game and they're out of the equation, and he makes so much space for himself. And what that does, it makes more space for everybody else to come into as well. So for me, that was one of O'Hare's best games of the season today. He had a good opportunity with his head as well in that first half, which he probably should do better with. But overall, I thought he was probably our star man.
And looking sort of ahead now to Tuesday, Dean, a big fixture for the Sky Blues. A real chance now to sort of try and move away from that bottom three, perhaps, and put in a good performance. What would you be doing with squad selection if you were Mark Robins?
Well, he's only put that squad in there today because he's obviously got one eye on Tuesday night versus Derby. There's no question about that. So I think we revert back. I would go 2 up top with O'Hare in behind, play Biama and Walker. Bakayoko offered absolutely nothing today. I didn't think he sort of hurried or did anything at the top end of the pitch to warrant a start on Tuesday night for sure. So I'd bring Max in with Walker, O'Hare, Kelly and Amer. Sheaf will be unlucky to drop out, but Kelly gives us that bit of rock and bit of steel in the midfield, and we need Amer's creativity for sure.
Yeah. So you'd have that box then. You said so it'd be O'Hare and perhaps what, Shipley?
No, because it'll be O'Hare behind Biama and Walker.
Of course, sorry, 2 up top.
Kelly and Amer, then the 5.
Yeah.
I don't think McCallum will come back in, not straight away, because Giles had a really good game there today.
Yeah.
And then it will also give us the option to bring Giles in later on in the game if we need to revert to maybe a 1 up top with the 2 guys either side. So yeah, I'd go back to 2. But then again, the 4. Get my words out in a minute. The 4, we all had question marks over the 4, didn't we? When Robins reverted back to that at the back. And that worked, we got 2 clean sheets out of that. So maybe that's his thinking. I don't know. It's hard to question Mark Robins at times, isn't it?
No. Well, the thing is with Derby is they've scored 6 goals this season. So I feel like, I mean, the only thing was, like Watford, for example, that was probably, that and Forest were the games where I felt like we looked like scoring the most goals in a game. But we were kamikaze at the back.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Derby, the last couple of games, we've been a bit more pragmatic. And I feel like if we defend well, if we score 1 goal against Derby, you get the win. And it's one of those whereas I agree, I'd like to see 2 up top, because I feel like if you go after them and if we could get an early goal and have something to build on and get a second, but I don't want to give them any sort of sliver of hope. Do you know what I mean? But
the difference in that game, in those 2 games that you've mentioned, is that we didn't have Liam Kelly there.
True.
It's remarkable how much difference we look as a team with Liam Kelly there. Mate, he just marshals everybody, gets everybody in the right position, and he picks up some great positions himself. I mean, today at times, Norwich had maybe 1 man over, and he was mopping up the little bit of play. It's incredible. We had question marks whether Liam Kelly could do it at this level, but I think he's shown the last 3 games he could. And I think Robins will obviously bring him into the side again on Tuesday night because he took him off tonight halfway through. So
we're a better team with Kelly in, aren't we?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. He's a talisman. Every team. Okay, he's not going to do the absolute spectacular, but he makes everybody else better around him, and it gives license then to Amer or O'Hare to push further on and to join the attack a bit further on the field. So for me, Liam Kelly is the starting name on the team sheet for sure.
Dean, any last comments before we let you go on with your evening?
Join us on Tuesday night for Sky Blues Extra Live, where I'll be back in the hot seat, I suspect. That's about it, yeah.
Thanks again,
guys.
Dean.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Dean.
Yeah, and there's Dean. Yeah, and he's absolutely right. We will be live again on Tuesday after the fixture against Derby. The question I've got to our followers who are now watching Sky Blues Extra Live is, would you bring in Camp or would you stick with Wilson? What would you do, Ross?
Oh, stick with Wilson, 100%. As I said, it's Wilson's shirt to lose, so he's got the shirt now, and he's the number 1. That's it. And Camp's going to be there in case anything was to happen to him. And if you judge Wilson like you would Morosi, I guess, if his form suddenly took a massive dip. But I mean, it would take massive confidence from today. He got beat by a penalty. Everything else, he was in the way of. I felt that apart from that first hairy moment when he sort of almost let that ball drift into his own goal. Apart from that,
I know
the biggest difference between him and Morosi is actually sometimes I get Morosi takes so long, like will take a touch and then kick it. Wilson did a lot of first time passes, I noticed,
which
Like, he didn't
you
mess.
feel like sometimes may get cut out or be
Yes, and I was like,
better.
it sort of made me feel like, on one hand, you're like, oh my God, what's if it bobbles over his foot? But then at the same time, I was like, he didn't give anyone the chance to get near him. He just would play it out. And it actually started some of our attacks. Fads would play it back to him and he'd sweep it first time out to Hyam rather than taking a touch.
Slowing it down,
Yes.
and losing that sort of switch left to right.
Yeah.
Just before the game, Ross, how did you feel about hearing the news of Lee Camp obviously being signed and on the emergency loan? Were you still thinking Wilson should be the man, deserves the chance? Before I bring in some comments from some of the other followers.
Before the game, well, when we signed him yesterday, I'd been speculating with a couple of my friends saying Lee Camp looks like an obvious thing. As soon as that's from Wednesday night, really, it was like get Lee Camp in, because obviously he's a free agent. But no, I was just saying that Wilson needs to be given the opportunity. If you just say to him, no, you're on the bench again, what does that say to him?
Yeah,
I 100%. Wilson had to start today, and then you just go from there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And let's bring in some of these comments. Wilson or Camp was the debate earlier on this morning on Sky Blues Extra Live and yesterday. A couple of different comments, one from Jamie McAllister, who supported Wilson. Paul, Camp all day long. A good one from the Sky Blue Hub, who obviously follow a lot of what we do. Wilson deserves his chance. And here from James, Camp, he's got more experience in the Championship, play up Sky Blues. And in the top left, we had a comment about, I would hope it's Wilson as the number 2. I would like to think Robbins backs him. It'd be a blow for his confidence if he is left on the bench. So pretty much what you're saying there, Ross. And I think as a lot of our followers, Steph says she agrees with Ross. Make sure that you stick Wilson. Mark Cunningham says Wilson. We've got every confidence in Wilson there. Some quick distribution. You made a point about that, didn't you? That sometimes we can slow it down too much, but actually, Ben Wilson switched to play and kept the momentum going at times today.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I'd say about the comments about Campy, I agree, he's so experienced. I mean, but he was playing in a Birmingham side last year who don't play how we play. We do a lot of passes. The keeper's involved. Will he need a bit more time to sort of adapt to how we play, from the back? Whereas Wilson's been around this team all last season, this season. He knows inside out how we play. So for me, it's a no-brainer that Wilson is sort of stays in the net, and then I'm sure Camp. If things take a turn for the worse, then Camp would come in. But for now, Wilson.
Yeah, and 2:00 came this afternoon, Ross, and we got the news through of the squad that was in the starting lineup, and just looking at that, it just changed so drastically, didn't it? But just want to run through there, and not so much player ratings, but is there anyone there that you felt perhaps didn't look to their best, and anyone there that had a great game?
Well, the first thing I'll say is this was the actual team, but on iFollow they put Dabo as the lone striker when they put the team formation out, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on? But no, I thought Dabo was brilliant. He was brilliant. Both wing backs were very, very good.
Yeah,
Kelly again. I felt like, I know what Dean was saying about Bakayoko not offering much, but I actually felt like he won a couple of headers early on, and I felt like he was there sort of as like a placeholder striker to sort of. He was part of the tactic, which was to not apply too much pressure. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like he looked like he probably didn't do that much, but he was probably doing the role that he was told to do. I think.
It's a very thankless task, isn't it? The running, the hunting, not a lot coming through to Bakayoko, and it's interesting. I think he's another player that definitely needs someone up there with him. Don't get me wrong, we've seen him play that lone role in previous matches, and we've seen that quite often, but he certainly seems like someone that needs to be playing off. He can hold the ball up well at times, he can flick the ball on well, and he certainly did that in spells today, didn't he?
Oh, exactly. There was a couple of times where he flicked nice balls over, and my biggest problem was we don't seem to get enough people in the box. That was all I found. There was a couple of times where all Giles had to aim for was Bakayoko by himself in the box, and you're thinking, where's Alan? Where's O'Hare? We need because they had two defenders on Bakayoko, one in front, one behind, and they just headed it away all the time from those dangerous positions. And obviously in the second half, we got more people in the box. But I agree, it was a thankless task. I wanted to ask, though, David, what did you think of Ostergaard coming back in the team today?
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Ostergaard. For me, I don't want to sound negative. Obviously, he is going to turn out to be a very, very good player. No doubt about it. Attacking wise, he's an absolute threat. He's brilliant in the air. And today, to be fair, I didn't think he did it as much. But I just feel, and I say this every week, and I sound like a broken record, but I feel he just does give the ball away quite a lot. I think even as a collective, if there was one negative, I think today, that would be it, and it would be of the whole season, in that we're just so at times wasteful of the ball in not even key times, in just in general, and that really does put the pressure on you against these top championship sides. They didn't at times, Norwich, have to work that hard to actually win the ball back. There was a 5-yard pass, I think, that came into Shipley's feet, and he tried to do it at what was quite a crucial time in the game, and he just played
the first time pass,
and it just went to nobody, And for me, that is, that's what they do day in, day out as a professional footballer. You play 5-yard passes, you follow your ball, you do that even to get warmed up. And I just think that, okay, I know in the heat of battle, people's, can misplace passes, but it just, to me, I think that that's probably one of the biggest things we've been. And I did try to look at some stats, not only of today's game, but just for the actual whole season, in that how many unforced errors or misplaced passes have we done this season? And I would say if there was a league table of that, we'd be very, very high up there.
Oh, well, I agree. I think it's one of those where it's exactly what you said. It's us giving the opposition the ball with no pressure, and then you just invite this sort of, press on, and you're thinking, we have nobody around us, or we've got the opposition penned back, and then we're choosing the wrong option. Sometimes it's poor decision making, and we'll work so hard. And like Ostergaard, I agree. He'll work so hard to win the ball back, and he'll get it back, and then try some Hollywood pass. Spray this 50-yard pass. I'm thinking, you've done so well to win the ball back, and there's a
let's keep it. Let's keep it for a minute. Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like we get the ball, and then instantly we want to try and play that killer fruit pass. And Kelly has helped us to stop that so much, because he'll take it and he's not afraid to just do a little 1-2 pass with the same player, keep the ball, tick it over. Whereas I feel like without Kelly, there's no one to sort of just go, it's all right, just keep it, spray it, switch it from wing to wing. But I agree. I feel like if we can cut out being wasteful, this good sort of last 3 results will continue.
Yeah, let's have a look at some more comments. This is quite a long one, and I'll read this out and let you answer it or make a comment on it, Ross. But Sheaf I've back recently, much like all of us, I think, but he's too negative and safe in the ball. The way he plays the ball backwards. Amir came in and pinged a 30-yard ball out to Giles that led to the goal. Amir also played a ball that went out and a couple of times to Gibello. But no, I admit the range of passing that Amir's got is unbelievable, and it turns a game, doesn't it? And that's what we need to be able to do. But how do you feel about that on Sheaf? Do you think that's unfair, or?
I didn't think he had his best game today, but I think I felt like he just looked a bit tired. I thought, especially before he came off, about 10 minutes before that, I sort of said he needs to come off today. I think he's just getting around the pitch, he wasn't closing down. I just felt like, he wasn't quite on it today. Obviously, he was playing in a sort of the 2 with Kelly as opposed to the 3, I guess, against Cardiff when we had that 4-3-3. I see a good player there. I do see a player in him. I see what Robbins sees, when we signed him.
Yeah.
But I feel like, if he can just, he is almost the epitomise of. Sometimes he'll give the ball away cheaply, but then he'll also do something really good. And if he can just get the balance more in favour of doing the really good things he does, rather than giving the ball away cheaply, then he'll be a much better player. And then as a result, we'll be a much better team.
Yeah. Great news, obviously, today was that Wes Gibello obviously made a comeback. Right. Great to see him, who's obviously worked so hard to get back on the pitch, and was obviously backed by Robbins, who's clearly wanted him, around and wants him involved. What sort of role do you think he plays for the rest of this season?
Well, if you'd asked me that a few weeks ago, I'd have gone no role because of the formation we were playing. Weren't playing with wingers. It's ironic we've not played with wingers since he got injured. So it's almost like we've gone full circle, and now we've suddenly gone, oh, actually, maybe we need a bit more wingers. And then Jabella's just coming back at the right time. So a few weeks ago, I'd have said, I don't see where he fits in. I don't see him as one of those cam positions. And do I see him as a wing back, like defensively? Probably not. But today, and in a 4-3-3, like against Cardiff, I think he could have played on the right where Giles did, and Giles could play on the left. I definitely think you could go Giles, Walker, Jabello.
Yeah, fair. Okay. And let's have another comment here about Sheaf from Scott here. He agrees with you, Ross. He said Sheaf did look a little bit tired. He is a safety net. He takes up good positions and on the edge of the box. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, he is that sort of holding midfielder. And perhaps, like Dean said earlier, that if it is going to be Amer and Kelly, it's tough to see if you go two up top where Sheaf fits in. I'm not entirely sure that he will go two up top on against Derby. No. I really can't see it myself. I think that he's going to be screaming at Dabo, Giles, McCallum in the last 20 minutes, half an hour if he comes on or starts, of course, to be bombing forward and peppering that box and screaming at O'Hare, perhaps, or whoever plays off the strikers and Amer to get in there and fill the box and do that way. I can't see him going two up top, especially with perhaps Biamu and Bakayoko, the only obvious people that can perhaps go and support Walker.
No, I think he'll go back to the formation as Cardiff. I think he'll go back to a back four. I think McCallum will come in. I think McCallum will start.
Yeah,
and I think Giles will go back further up. I think he'll play the team that played against Cardiff, apart from Wilson and from Morosi. That's what I think.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think he'll go with that formation. Has kept 2 clean sheets, and if we can score against Derby and keep a clean sheet, we win the game again. And that's the most important thing: get 3 points on Tuesday night.
Yeah, of course. Ross, have we got any more questions for our followers that are perhaps watching from home Sky Blues Extra Live? Just while you're thinking of that, I'm going to tell them all about our Black Friday deal, of course, that still sees the Sky Blues Extra store with plenty of discounts on there for Black Friday. That ends Sunday, so if you do want to pick up one of the Sabutio t-shirts or the posters that you can perhaps see behind me there, then do log on to skyblues-extra.co.uk and pick up your Sky Blues Sabutio poster. That does help us. Any funds that we make from that, it does really help us to support the subscriptions that we have to have, of course, for this live and also the editing and that not of the podcast that you've enjoyed. And of course, we've had some great guests recently with Zane Westbrook and a brilliant interview, if you haven't heard it already, with Chief Exec Dave Boddy. What did you make of that, Ross? Did you enjoy listening to Dave?
Oh, I've always enjoyed Dave ever since he's been in the club. Is it any interview he's done? Yeah, he's just so honest, isn't he? He's just so relatable as well. I feel like he gives you the honest answers. You feel like he's some guy you could have
and of course you've got to accept he just won't always have an answer. Like he says, there's a lot around perhaps the new stadium that he's not involved with. What we do know is the things that he's involved with is the commercial elements of that, which is a fantastic new third kit that's been launched by the club, a fantastic season ticket that supported the club at a vital time, and it sounds like we're going to see the fruition of that, and the shirt in I think after Christmas, late January. He mentioned that the team will be wearing that as a one-off. I think that's been quite difficult to get through the FA at times. So the job that Dave Boddy's done on a commercial level at the club since he joined and we were in League Two is nothing short of phenomenal and matches that of Mark Robbins, doesn't it?
Well, he came in at a similar time. Was it just before Mark Robbins?
Yes, yeah.
And so that he's overseen this sort of rise, back from League Two. And I have nothing but praise for him, because you got to bear in mind he's come into a role which for so many years, whoever was in that role was sort of lambasted. Do you know what I mean? They were seen as the villain, do you know what I mean, of the club, really. Yeah. And he's just turned it around. I can't not like Dave Boddy. Do you know what I mean?
But it's because of the dialect, isn't it? It's been that's changed, hasn't it? that's changed so much since he's been in. The fans have been given, open and honest where possible answers, haven't they?
Well, and that's it. The communication, it was something that we lacked for so many years, and you just felt like they just forget about us. Whereas Dave Boddy and Robbins and the players, going to, coming on Sky Blues Extra podcasts, going to the supporters clubs, all those has brought the fans back. And the kits for me are a prime example of that. Name me another team who every kit has so much detail, so much. It's the little features for me. I think this third kit is incredible. But every kit is more than a kit. It's like a piece of memorabilia.
It is,
the away shirt. The away shirt. If you can't get a Singers FC shirt, this is what you need to get. It's the little things in the collar. This year's home top. Obviously we'll be getting the special, the season ticket, shirt as well. There's just so much. Last year's kits were phenomenal. The two-tone. I mean, and this City of Culture one, I just think. I mean, I can't wait. I pre-ordered it straight away. But I just think all those little things, instead of the boring templates which we had year on year, I think it just shows there's a real care. There's a real care from the club to the fans.
Exactly. You mentioned about the little touches, and that's it. And it doesn't go unnoticed, does it? You look at the cathedral on the new away kit. You look at the logos that fit with the City of Culture. And there was only going to be this year that they could have done that, of course. Because that accolade, I guess, if you want, or that responsibility of the city is only going to be for that year, of course. And therefore, being the City of Culture and to have a nod to that and be aware is great. Next year I'm sure we'll see equally just as good as third kit than that. But to take that opportunity.
Do you think this third kit though will be for next calendar year? Because that's when the City of Culture is. Do you think we might have this till just November and then release a new third kit in a year's time?
I don't know. I mean, when you look at commercial revenues, obviously what Boddy said, last year's home kit was a bestseller. This year we blew early sales out of the water. The two-tone was obviously ever so popular. It seems already that this kit is going to be popular. It's vital revenue for the club, where actually Coventry City are in a very unique position in that there's only so many avenues that they can actually generate revenue from. Kit sales is one, tickets is another once that happens, but obviously we know that that's a difficult situation at the moment. And obviously then merchandise and memorabilia and the season tickets. So
well, exactly. But the difference is it's not like the club is just bringing out, knocked up another simple kit just to make money. They're bringing the kit. They've put effort and they've put time. So you sort of look at it and go, you look in the collar of the third shirt, you've got all the legends there, you've got the skyline. You think it's so good. The
Panini sort of cards, brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
brilliant.
Really good. Yeah,
fantastic.
Obviously, I can't speak highly enough of Dave Boddy. He's honestly been brilliant for the club. I think ever since he came in.
Brilliant. Well, Ross, I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your evening. I suppose it just remains to say that the Sky Blues have finished their fixture with Norwich at Carrow Road. They've scraped a 1-1 draw, picked up courtesy of a Max Biamu goal, who, as I mentioned earlier, has scored now in nearly every league in English football. A massive shout to Max. And a gutsy performance by the Sky Blues, which in a game that perhaps wasn't as exciting in times as it was. But we were worried going into it. We knew there was going to be some changes with Robbins having one eye on Tuesday. Ben Wilson, of course, stepped up, very unlucky to give away a penalty. I still don't think anyone will change their mind when they see that over again tonight on Quest or the replays tomorrow. But a fantastic result, Ross, a well-deserved point, and we move on now to a really, really big fixture, don't we, on Tuesday? Yeah,
big fixture, Derby. They're going to be up for it. They're going to look at this fixture as equally as we do. They're going to be thinking this is a must-win. Obviously, they only drew today. But we can take nothing but confidence from today, Wednesday night, and let's bring on Derby. Come on.
Bring on Derby. Sky Blues Extra followers, do make sure you join us on Tuesday. Of course, it's going to be Dean in the hot seat. He'll be taking all of your comments, and do come and join us on air. All you need to do is click the link, come on with a mobile phone, smartphone. If you have headphones, you can. It's not a problem. But do come on and share your comments on the performance of that fixture. And make sure you drop as many comments as you can also on there. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels. And make sure that you subscribe to YouTube, where we're going to have a lot more of exclusive content coming for you Sky Blues fans.